This is your weekly Star Wars news. Yeah, so grab a coffee, tea, whatever you're into. Water, should probably drink more of that. But yeah, let's hop right into it. This week in the world of Star Wars, Lucy Lawless says the Mandalorian fan casting may have cost her another Star Wars gig. And basically she goes on to explain that, I'll just read her direct quote. Well, to be honest with you, I was already in discussion for something on Star Wars, something Star Wars affiliated, not the Mandalorian, and it might have hurt her in some way because they couldn't hire her because it'd be pandering to a certain fan group. And how are you going to pander to a certain fan group every time they have something wrong with your franchise, which I think is dead on and very wise of her to say. It sucks for her. He goes on to say that she became political about the situation, and if you don't know what happened, I'll just give you a brief rundown. Gina essentially said this about the government:
I'll whoop your ass. Your girlfriend look like my mom.
And Star Wars said this about her career. And yeah, so it kind of left us in a lull because who's going to fill this role for The Mandalorian Season 3? Are they just going to kill her off now because they don't have anyone to recast the role and have someone be faced with the criticism returning into The Mandalorian? So it's an interesting situation. I personally think that it's funny that Lucasfilms stated that if anyone says things like this about the government, that they will not tolerate it, but then they have the writer for the KOTOR video game. I'll show some screenshots of tweets and stuff like that saying this, which in a roundabout way is about the government, but she's writing the new KOTOR game. So I think it's an interesting look. I think you're entitled to say whatever you want to say and believe whatever you want to believe. I just think the situation was handled poorly and it was unfair to Gina. So that's my stance on it. Moving along on Star Wars shows, Andor has finished shooting, and the lead actor says that we're going to see some familiar faces, which is going to be cool. So I don't know if this will be like prequels, Clone War familiar faces, or like tie-ins with the Obi-Wan TV show, because Rogue One, if you haven't seen it, is set before A New Hope, and it leads seamlessly into it. So it's one of my favorite Star Wars movies. If you haven't seen it, I would highly recommend watching it. And it's also funny that he says he can't spoil the ending because Rogue One, everyone dies. So it's like, I mean, he's right. In a nutshell, he can't really spoil anything. Third on the agenda might be an interesting one, but before I get into it, I'm gonna take a sip of coffee. Make sure you hit subscribe and like. It really helps the channel do well. And if I get to the point where this gets monetized, you could literally be buying me cups of coffee. How cool that would be. But yeah, so Star Wars, The High Republic. Now, I know the novelization of these was not well received because it was just another, sadly, Disney agenda-pushed novel with Star Wars, kind of how the sequels were. It's a topic for another video. I'm sure everyone knows exactly how I feel about that. But this one is a comic, and it looks highly impressive, and it's under Marvel. So if you've seen a lot of the Marvel Darth Vader comics, which are incredible, same people doing this one. It's essentially a Sherlock Holmes like murder mystery, whodunit. They literally said that right there. And apparently a bunch of these Jedi are just found dead at a fair. They go on to solve the mystery. So I think it's intriguing. The art style actually looks really cool. And this is from Star Wars official website too, so they gave us a sneak peek into like the first couple panels. Yeah, so I'm excited to see that. I'll probably read it when it comes out just to kind of see. Just like I said, I haven't read any of the High Republic novels myself. I just knew they were not well received to the community. So quite frankly, I didn't really bother. All right, moving on to what everyone wants to talk about. The Book of Boba Fett. We have a release date, December 29th. Get ready. It's going to be insane. And Disney released a poster, and his just badass. And essentially, this goes on to say that Mandalorian Season 3 production had been pushed back because, you know, COVID, all that stuff. That's understandable. And they brought up a good point. Since Disney owns Star Wars and Marvel and all this stuff now, there's actually 3 Marvel projects coming out in between, all up till Boba Fett. So the fact that they were able to squeeze Boba Fett in there for us Star Wars fans at the very end, so that way it has its own space to breathe and it's not clouded up by all of the Marvel stuff, I think that's super cool. We don't have a release date for the trailer yet, and I'll do a reaction video when that comes out because I'm sure it's going to be absolutely wild. Speaking of reaction videos, if you want to know what I think about Star Wars Visions and my top 3 episodes, make sure you watch this video right here.